Welcome everybody to the Office of Police Ombudsman Commission meeting, April 18th, 2023. I'd like to welcome the public and everybody up here and in the booth as well. We will officially start the meeting. All right, we're going to move over to agenda approval. So if it looks good, then
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
I'll second.
all right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes. Okay, on to the February meeting minutes. I think you'll have to.
I'd like to thank Christina for the great notes, especially on the item session. Nice job.
Thank you.
I will make a motion to approve the February 21st minutes of 2023.
I'll go ahead and second that one. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
No, sir, we do not.
All right. Well, Mr. Logue, it's all you.
All right. Good evening. We get a rundown on 2 monthly reports because we didn't do the monthly report last time as we had just a great panel. Still having some people stop me and talk about the panel. It was really good, and they hope to see more of that. Contacts, though, for this quarter, we're at 443 for the year. So roughly just under 150 per month. We've conducted 11 OPO interviews this month, 7 last month, so we're averaging around 9 to 10 of interviews of community members. We have sent 7 total letters of appreciation or commendations over to the police department. We've actually had an uptick on that this year as well from community members. OPO-generated complaints, though, I think in comparison, there's a graph on, I think, the second page of the monthly reports, which show the comparative numbers from this year and last year by month. So we're at 13 complaints that we've submitted so far as of the end of March. Compared to last year, there was only 2 by this point. Complaints, as I recall, through the end of 2022, they did start to pick up towards the end of the year. So we still are. It's been relatively constant. It seems like for the last 6 or 7 months. Referrals are also the same thing. We between 4 and 5 a month is what we generally average for referrals. At this point last year, we only had 7, and 9 this year. We did have a mediation come up on a case. It was something that we requested and the chief granted, and we actually held it in April. So we'll be talking about this mediation again next month. But it was something that came to our attention during the interview with the community member, and it was after the interview that both the investigator and myself we discussed it and just thought that the way the person handled themselves, it was profound. It was a moving moment for how they were able to express how their interaction with the police officer affected them individually. So we requested a mediation on that, and we did hold that. One thing that occurred during that mediation is that the community member had requested to come in and see the room where the mediation would be conducted. And that was something new that we haven't had before. And it's something that I think we want to make people as comfortable as possible, so we will avail that in the future. So we had a pre-mediation meeting with the community member as well. For cases certified, we've certified nine in February and 9 in March, 27 for the year so far. We've returned 4 investigations so far for further investigation. And I'll say that's down in comparison to previous years, and I can attribute that to both the longer time that we have to certify cases, which changed from 5 to 10, and then also the relationships which we've built with the investigators and internal affairs. So if there's a small change that we're looking for as we're reviewing an investigation, I'll pick up the phone and I'll call usually Lieutenant Wheeler, who's sitting way back in the back seat tonight. But we probably talk 4 or 5 times a week, it seems like. And if we're doing case review, we sometimes talk 2 or 3 times a day. But during those conversations, we can point out what we're looking for, and he's able to get those things fixed within that 10-day time frame which we have for review. So we can ask the question, get the answers, have the investigations updated for what we're looking for without having to go back and forth. So I think that works for them. It works for us. It's always easier to do one case at a time and stay focused on it. We did have one case which we will have on next month's monthly report for a decline to certify, and that was something that was it's probably been coming for a while. It's not their fault. It's not our fault. It involves an employee of the 270. And so there are some questions that need to be answered between the city and 270 for which cases that we are allowed to review. As far as I'm concerned, the investigations that we review, which are authorized through the collective bargaining agreement, have to do with investigative work that are done by guild members. So the sergeants are guild members, lieutenants a member of the Lieutenants and Captains Association, and it's their work that we're reviewing when we're reviewing investigations. We're not focused on findings of the person that's actually the subject of the investigation. However, a question's been asked, so we forwarded that to city legal and the city administration. The chief and I spoke in regards to it, and there's also an aspect of whether or not 270 employees are subject to the Spokane Police Department's policies. So there's questions on that, so we think it's time to get those things answered, both on cases that we look at and the authority that the chief has over members of his department that are not actually officers. So that's coming. It'll probably be a long time before we have an answer, but it's something that it's worth paying attention to and getting the right answers. For interviews and internal affairs, we had 2 that we went to in February, 5 in March. A special 2 review boards, both for February and March. Special cases, 51 total. Those are those use of force cases, collision cases, and pursuits. We had 29 meetings with SPD in February and 51 in March. We've had a total of 121 for the year. Community meetings have also gone up, 5 in February, 6 in March, 19 for the year. And oversight meetings with some of our colleagues in NACOL and different municipalities have also gone up. So we've had 16 of those for the year. Louie May and I participated in it's spring, right? Spring and service training, I guess. So we just did that in March 1st. Again, if you're interested in attending any part of the training days at the police academy, please let me know. I'm sure we could get you in for that. It's interesting and it's enlightening. This time a portion of the training day was in regards to disturbance responses and how they're using bikes and some different things to help them. So it's interesting. Other main things that we focused on the last couple of months. I attended the NACL winter board meetings in Chicago. It was over Super Bowl weekend, so I caught little bits of it as we were flying. But it was held at the hotel that the NACL conference will be at. For your information, there's a CVS pharmacy right across the street, a Starbucks right down the road. So the little things that you always want to kind of have available when you're traveling, you can readily get them there, so you don't necessarily have to lug it all from home. Less than a block from Michigan Avenue, but it will be the end of November, so dress warmly would be what I would say. But
You see what he did there?
yeah. We were also interviewed by SPD regarding their strategic plan. Louis May and I both participated in that. We had a request from SPD asking for our assistance in researching head strikes. We've actually had our intern Nick do a lot of research on that, and he'll talk with you a little bit about that in a little bit. I was able to attend the Wilburns Going Away that was held at the Martin Luther King Center. I think I talked about that before. The Criminal Justice Training Commission asked me to be on a special panel for a job task analysis project that's going over every skill that's taught in the Basic Law Enforcement Academy and making sure that they're on point. I think that there was about 20 members of that task, so it was nice to be invited to that. Skillskin has a Good Gab podcast that they've been doing. They've got 40 episodes or something like that, and now I'm one of them. It hasn't been published yet, but I'll let you know when that gets pushed out. The OPOC retreat, Criminal Justice Training Commission had their quarterly meeting. All their meetings are now in person. They used to have a hybrid where we could attend online, but the COVID restrictions are over with, so all those are held in Burien. We've had a lot of interest regarding our independent investigation. I've had calls from Boston and San Francisco regarding some of the media reports that came out from that. We're also getting a lot of requests for what are our opinions on what people should do in regards to the investigation. And I'd just like to be clear that we don't have anything to do with that. The purpose of our investigation is to inform people, and it's not to try to influence any action whatsoever. So I will not be commenting on what City Council should or should not do, what the mayor should or should not do, what the chief should or should not do. I'm here to publish the reports and make sure that the public stays informed. And that's the limits of what I believe we're allowed to do. It starts to get into findings after that. I think our ordinance is pretty clear that we're not allowed to do that. Although if they're lawmakers, if they would like to give us those authorities in the future, that's up to them. But right now, we're going to stick by with the rules that we have at the moment. We participated in negotiations with the city and the police guild as well this last couple of months, and attended an executive session with city council in regards to that. I've spoken to you a little bit before in regards to, I was put on a peer review team for New Orleans, Louisiana, and we're going to do a peer review of their oversight office down there. One of the big tasks that Nick has helped me with a lot has been coming up with how do we do that. So if you were going to walk into my office and do a peer review of me, what are the standards? What are we looking for, et cetera, et cetera. So we went over the principles of effective oversight and effective practices. There's a COPS report, which we could make sure that we resend you if you're interested. It's roughly 100 pages long. It kind of goes over that specific criteria. So Nick and I put our heads together and we came up with different questions that we would ask under each category, and I think it's roughly 35 pages long, something like that. So it was a substantial effort, and Nick gets an awful lot of credit for that. So thank you, Nick, for your help in regards to that. We had a couple of pretty good meetings with IA, and we always have good meetings, but there were a couple of cases which could have gone south in this last month, in which we were able to go over there and sit around a table and give some very specific critiques in regards to some cases and get responses and come to a good outcome. There was one case I was certain that it was going to end up being a decline to certify, but with hard questions and hard comments and good meetings, we got to a good spot. So it's a credit to them that we're able to have harder meetings. I know nobody likes them. Everybody likes to say, yeah, that's great. We'll take it first time, but we have to maintain what we're looking for. We think as our office, we can't lower our, and they're not asking us to lower our standards or anything like that. But we had a meeting with the chief last week, and I said, really, Louis May and I have kind of been doing this for 7 years now. So we're getting pretty used to what we're looking for, and we can see when it's not there. And we're just going to have another investigator turnover in internal affairs in the near future. So they're starting again every 1 to 2 years, it seems like, where we're kind of maintaining and they're kind of coming up. So I expect those hard conversations to happen, but it hasn't always been the case where they've been receptive. So good job on them for allowing us to have those conversations, but then also being willing to adjust. And I think sometimes we can get to where we think the investigation might go. And I've said it to you a number of times, our job is only about the investigation itself, not what happens to the investigation. So we're looking for timely, thorough, and objective. And if I can get to those 3 words, we're going to certify an investigation. If I can't, we're just not going to. So let's see, we also attended Oversight 101 training. We had a chance to do this with NACOL. We did it virtually. They did a Oversight 101 training with the North Miami Police Department. And it was a chance to kind of see them in the classroom environment. And it's Louis May and me and Cammie, who came in for your retreat. As she gave this is what oversight is, to some fairly skeptical folks, would be what I would say. But as you go through the entire presentation on what oversight offers, towards the end you can start to see some heads nodding, and it was a worthwhile experience. So if I have the chance to do that again, and it looks like it's going to be a session at the NACOL conference, go to this Oversight 101 training and just have some basics in your hip pocket. I think it's good stuff. One thing that I thought was worth mentioning is that we did have a community member reach out to us and request information on race and traffic stops. So I took that information and I reached out to Assistant Chief Lundgren, and he had Kathy Armstrong provide that information. I made sure it was public facing, and then we released that to the person asking. But it is an example of how the police department gets asked for information regarding their systems, their day-to-days, their everything. And they do willingly hand out information. So it was interesting to have that so soon after that independent investigation where folks are interested specifically in how they hand out information. That one came through us. It was a simple text and a phone call, and they provided it to us to give to the community members. So if we can assist in helping anybody obtain information that's useful from the police department, we're here to help that as well. So I just thought that'd be worth bringing up in this meeting. Oh, and one last meeting that I had, it was good, it was fruitful, was I did have a request for a meeting. Actually, I won't say his name here, but from the community member associated with the independent investigation. There was some concerns that their name had been brought up inside of our investigation. We were able to go through the investigation and show that it had not been, but also admit that this is a small town. And it's not hard for people to put one and two together. But a real question is, if somebody wants to maintain confidentiality, what are the steps that we're taking in order to safeguard that? So when someone wants to bring a complaint against the police department and they want to maintain confidentiality, we don't take their name, we don't take their number, we don't write it in any system, because any system that you write it in becomes a public record. But they have to know that we have no way to contact them again if we don't have it. So at every step on the way, if someone wants to be anonymous, we have to take steps to safeguard that. So we're going to look into what that looks like with the police department, and maybe we'll see if there's a recommendation to be had or not in regards to that. I go from there. So we've been pretty busy. We've had our fingers in quite a few things. Any questions for me?
You have anything?
Right at the very beginning, Mr. Logue, you said, what was the number of contacts? Was it 420? Is that what we heard?
443 for the year,
Oh.
161 in January, 120 in February, 162 in March.
Oh, okay.
We're
Thank
averaging
you.
over 100.
Thank you.
Of course.
Lily, you have anything?
No.
No? Okay. You did it right, Mr. Logue. Anything you want to add, Louis Bay? No? Okay. So this next part is very important. We had the pleasure of having our first intern, right? It's our first and very best intern.
We've had more. We've
Oh,
had
we've had more?
interns before, but
Well, I heard Nicholas was the
yeah,
best.
we just heard that Nick was the best, so
That's what I heard. So,
he's standing right there.
so we'll have a presentation by our intern Nicholas Davis.
Okay. Perfect. So, my name's Nicholas Davis. I believe I've met most of you in passing, but if not, hello. This semester, since January, I've been able to intern at the Office of the Police Ombudsman to cap off my experience in law school. So I had a very interesting experience, and I kind of wanted to tell you all about it and give you sort of what went really, really well, and then some possible recommendations for the office in general, as well as for future interns. So I'll kind of give you a rundown of what I did. On one side, I mostly did self-guided research projects. There was kind of an idea of what I was looking for and what an end goal would possibly look like, but a lot of it was sort of left to my interpretation, and there was some great communication along the way with supervisors, but a lot of what I did was just look at policies, like nationwide, policies in places with similar populations as Spokane, kind of similar setup of oversight, things like that, and sort of put that into policy recommendation and a big, research brief. I also looked at general lawsuits, case law that's been published, and I also had conversations with other oversight offices who were, willing to answer the phone, call me back. Some of those topics included, like Bart mentioned before, closed fist head strikes, or even things as vague as exceptional techniques here in Spokane, and a lot of places had different names for that, so that was one of those topics that required more phone calls. As well as doing kind of a brief overview of different departments' responses to the Tyree Nichols incident. But I also got to do some other, fun side projects, such as creating the peer review guidelines for NACOL, like Bart was speaking about. That was a pretty time-intensive project, as well as I think gearing up, using that same sort of peer review guideline to do a self-review of the Spokane office, and kind of just doing some self-critiques from someone's insight who has just got here, just figuring it out. So, and then as well as that, I did have a quick look at some of the mediation procedures, and spoke with our mediator, and just tried to figure out ways that we could make the process more efficient or just better for all the parties involved. So for one example, I just wanted to highlight the peer review project that Bart kind of did speak about already. We really just gathered a big checklist worth of questions that would be helpful in reviewing other oversight agencies. But at the same time, I think it could also be used in creating oversight agencies or even modifying our own internally, so being used for like a self-evaluation. And just as an example, over there on the right are the 13 principles of effective oversight. One of those principles had 3 parts, and we took one of those 3 parts and we wrote all of these questions about it. So if you can imagine that 35-page document, it's not easy to look at. It's not fun by any means, but it is all-encompassing. Another would just kind of, this is generally how I would structure research. I would do an introduction about how SPD's policy currently looked. I would look at manuals, and then I would, for part 2, I would just look at other jurisdictions. And I'd put it in order from, which places allow it, which places don't allow it, which ones are unclear, and cite to their policy. And then look at case law as well. So I guess to evaluate, overall, there was very clear direction. I think anytime I had a question, anytime I had any unknowns, very clear communication, very open channels of communication. If one person didn't have the answer, I was almost guaranteed that somebody else in the office would. Additionally, they just trusted me in handling open-ended projects. They would give me some direction and understand that I'd get to the end point at some point, and give great feedback along the way. And another thing that was very great was in the database online, or on the internal drive, there's a lot of written procedures that you can always reference back to. So I think it's maybe Bart's military history, but there's a lot of black and white that you can look at if you're ever stuck or lost. So that was great. I think going forward, I have some recommendations are to just increase the community outreach that we do in general. I know we are a little strapped for time and staffing, but I just think it's really important for people to know that this office exists. And not only that it exists, but also what its limitations are as well. And I think there's been some work to try to figure out how we can express that publicly in an efficient way. Another thing is, one thing that is a little tough, at least for me, doing an intake if you found out you couldn't help somebody, if it didn't fall within our purview, was having to tell them that. And also not knowing, I think, at the outset, when I was in my position, whether or not what a referral would look like. Who do we refer to? How far do we go in referring people? A lot of places I've worked before have taken a more holistic approach to helping, but there are actual rules and guidelines for this office of how much you can help and what we do. So a little bit, I think, more clarity on that at the outset for interns would be very, very helpful. Anyone answering the phones, really. And then I think, I think just doing more audits of previous recommendations. I think that's a big thing for interns as well. I think that could be a regular intern assignment, is just going back through previous recommendations and ensuring that recommendations for policy changes that they said they would accept were actually accepted, and how much, and if it was a partial acceptance, how much of it was accepted, things like that. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for the opportunity. I think it was extremely insightful and way more than I expected at the outset. So thank you guys so much. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I noticed on your slide there, was customer service crossed out?
Yeah, I think taking instead of seeing it as like a customer service type thing, I think reassuring complainants or even communicating with complainants, I think was a gap that seemed to be missing. And I think I kind of touched on that a little bit when when you have to decline somebody or when you have to let somebody know. I think there's not necessarily enough that's black and white in the procedure right now to communicate with people. I think that I don't know how much of it falls on IA to do. I know that we don't personally do a ton in our office, but it seems like we do enough, but I feel like we can always err on the side of doing more than doing less. But sorry.
No, I was going to ask, did you come up with that complainant reassurance?
Yeah, I kind of just.
No, I really like that.
It's not really customer service because we're not.
Right.
We don't have customers.
No,
Yeah. So, I guess.
Yeah, I do
being
like
a
that.
public-facing entity, I think it's important that people know that you're going to communicate with them and they can rely on you.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Anybody else? Well, I'm extremely impressed, and I'm glad we're going to be talking about OPOC goals later on, because to me, you just really delved into the data, and to be able to compare it with other places in the nation, I think that's really cool. I know we got, I guess, a little time. I'm curious, and we could have a side conversation just about like what are some of the similarities you saw from
Sure.
different places, and just kind of what stood out to you.
Yeah, I love that.
in regards to
Love
here.
that.
Yeah.
I think I could go on for hours.
Yeah.
I studied criminology and police sciences in undergrad, so this is kind of right up my alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need a data person.
Continue. I don't like every oversight agency is created under different circumstances, and have been around for different amounts of time and had more time to hone in their policies, through incidences or through leadership changes. So, a lot of the people I spoke to on the phone, especially at length, like the St. Louis Oversight Office, the Des Moines or Iowa Ombudsman, it all came down to, there have been specific instances of this, which is why this changed. So it's a very reactive field, which means whenever different cities have different crises all the time, and so it is very interesting to look out and see a lot of cities like in the Midwest or in the Rust Belt that are close in geography but have entirely different police policies about many different things. So
That's interesting. Yeah. Appreciate that.
I don't think I can give you more of a specific answer without taking 2 hours.
Yeah,
So,
no, I got you. That was good.
Yeah.
Are you going to be in Spokane the next couple of months? Are you going? After you graduate? do you
Still a
believe
big
you'll-
question mark, but
okay.
this is definitely the area of work I'd like to end up in.
Oh,
I love Spokane. It's easy to bike around, so that's all I can ask for.
right. Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Okay. So next we have commission business, and the first thing that we have on here is OPOC retreat recap. And obviously the office, you took part in the retreat too, so if it's okay, I would like all of us to be part of this discussion. But if we want to start with commissioners, just kind of thoughts on the retreat and.
I was out of town for the retreat, so I was not here
Okay.
to attend.
Lily?
I just thought it was great. We learned a lot and things that we need to implement here. I was very satisfied.
Yeah. So for me, I was proud, just because, like you said, Nicholas, there's other OPOs across the nation, and it even going to the NACO conference and having our retreat, it's really stood out to me just how special our office is, and the work that they do, and the fact that you're able to do the work, you're able to be as objective as possible, but still have good relationships with, whether it's the police guild or it's police or even just community organizations. I mean, you see a huge uptick in events and groups that you've been talking to. So, yeah, I feel proud. There's definitely work that we need to do, but that's definitely what stood out to me. And I don't know if anybody, Ombudsman, if there's anything that stood out to you.
I think probably the main thing which just jumped into my mind as you asked us to participate in this and I wasn't quite ready, is that the OPOC, you take it seriously. We've had the president of NACOL and the executive director of NACOL come out 3 times now to facilitate professional oversight training for you all. Now that I'm on the board and I have some insight into that, we're like the only place that's doing that, that's pursuing that level of professional training. And I just think it speaks a lot. When it comes down to where are we going to be 10 years from now, I think how Cammie laid out all the different avenues of where you might want to go. It all starts right here. And where do you see yourselves 10 years from now? We can influence authority if we don't have it. We can influence budgets if we don't have it. Size of our office, the capacity of our office, capacity of the OPOC, the things that you're willing to be involved in. Commissioner Smith went to our last meeting with Internal Affairs for a bi-weekly. He's had some time and asked if he could come, and the more interest the OPOC shows, we can probably get it done here. A lot of places can't even begin to say that. There's so many obstacles in front of it. And I think of probably the biggest thing for me when I think about what does the OPOC mean, it's in that very first topic that Nick had up there, and it's on political independence. I cannot tell you how big of a concept that is to have the OPOC between me and anybody else on either side of the political spectrum when it comes to something hard that we're trying to get done and do it correctly. That umbrella of protection, which provides the political independence, which gives us operational independence, is gigantic. And you get to do that just by being there. And that's huge for me. Now, when it comes to filling out an annual report and the different things and influence of what you want to do in a year or whatever, I think of last year where we went through and actually conducted our very first independent investigation. That was not just an action you took last year, but it was an action that started many, many years ago. When you were formed, how people put together the process for how we might eventually get to. And we were able to see it fulfilled last year but it was a lot of work that was done before that. So it's something that we're at a pretty good place right now. And where you see yourselves in 5 or 10 years from now, I think then we just start to shape the environment to see if we can get there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of what the retreat was kind of talking about. No one's trying to tell you how to do it or what to do even. It's kind of decide where we want to go, and then we'll figure out how to get there. And I thought we have the access to the people which with expertise. And if Cami doesn't know, the best thing about Cami and NACOL is that they know somebody like us somewhere in some jurisdiction kind of working through the same things. And we can learn from each other and go from there. So all in all, I'm always interested in strategic thinking and where are we going to be when it's no longer you and me. How are we going to set this up for the people of the future? And I thought that was the OPOC retreat in a nutshell. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, appreciate that, Mr. Logue. You have anything?
I suppose. It's kind of like what Bart said. I thought it was good to have Cami here because while she is just one person, she brought a lot of perspective from working with other jurisdictions, so we could see how things work in other places just by asking her. I really like that. That was a really good resource. Also, the commission, you're all volunteers and we meet once a month. So I thought it was a good opportunity to identify the things that each commissioner was passionate about and how can we facilitate you achieving those goals. So I appreciated putting pen to paper on that and just so that we know how to make your time on the commission more meaningful to you all. So I appreciated that, and any opportunity to get together and have pizza is always
Yeah,
good.
that works. Thank you. You have anything, Christina?
I do not.
You do not. Okay.
I
Well,
was in and out of that
Yeah.
one, so.
we could transition to OPOC goals for 2023 and same format.
At the retreat, did you guys come up with, because I remember one of our retreats a few years ago, we wrote down some goals. This was a long time ago. But did you guys come up with any goal setting at the retreat that you might have that you could share?
Yeah, see, now I'm trying to remember. We did, someone took notes, right?
Christina,
Oh, I don't mean to put you on the spot,
If-
Christina.
If
was
I
just curious.
remember, if I remember correctly, one of the big things was what I feel like we're starting to do already, being at more events. So really getting out there in the community, and right after the meeting, I believe there was a meeting with SCAR, there was a meeting with Chief, there was another meeting with another community organization, Carl Maxey. That happened. So I think we're getting there. The other piece was around social media and helping Christina out a little bit and trying to get more content out and more viewership with that. One that came to me through just talking to the office is kind of along the lines of what Nicholas was doing, somebody that really could focus on data analysis, and yeah, I'm curious his thoughts on that, but I think that's something that we should really shoot for in 2023, finding out how we can get some funding for that to really be more effective. And then the last thing that sticks out to me that I think is very important is having privacy. Like we've been asking for, to look at the physical space and how confidential is it really right now? We know it's not, and in my opinion, we're talking about just a drop in the bucket what it would cost to actually make the space safe for folks to feel like they can come and actually speak. So those are the things that are top of mind and what I recollect from some of the goals that we set. Do you remember much, Lily?
Not without my notes,
Yeah,
but it was good.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anything from like anything additional that you all could think of?
Not off the top of my head right
I ain't figuring out a way to have more independent oversight too. Is a huge goal that I think we should have. Now, how does that play itself out? I think that those are discussions we should really have. But Mr. Lowe, you were gonna say something?
One thing that I've written down is it's kind of marketing,
Yeah.
almost messaging. If we were to go out and conduct a community survey, hey, have you ever heard of? What do you know about them? I don't know that we'd like our response.
now. Totally agree.
And if we're a couple decades into this, maybe we should focus on making sure that people know who we are, what we are, and why we are. So we have had one meeting so far with the company to see if we can come up with some marketing strategies, which might help us, our office and the commission. But I think that's a piece that I'm not good at, and I could get better at it. And collectively, we could probably all contribute to that. But marketing,
Yeah.
marketing and messaging.
That is definitely one. Well, anything else? I know this is going to be just an ongoing conversation. But anything else from anyone? All right. Well, we've made it to Commissioner Speak Out. Got any?
I just have a couple of questions. One is, have we heard anything as far as someone appointed to Commissioner Wilburn's commission? Do we have any update on that?
I sent out one application that the mayor's office had received to your email this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of those things that this is within the city of Spokane, so it's anywhere within those limits. If you know someone that might want to apply, now would be the time. There's one applicant already, so that's better than last time we started this. So you have the applicant that is in your email, and then if anybody else wants to apply, I think have them apply so that the mayor can make a decision sooner rather than later, and then we can have that spot filled. It's a mayoral appointee that gets confirmed by city council for that position. So anywhere within Spokane, as long as they live anywhere within Spokane, they would be eligible.
City limits. Within the Spokane city limits.
Correct.
There's that little niche up there by Francis that we had an issue with, if you remember, about 3 years ago.
And it doesn't matter what district they're in, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to talk about the May meeting? So our May meeting is May 16th, which is, well, what's today? Today is the 18th. So I guess it's probably about the same time of the month. I will not be here in May on the 16th. I was wondering if we could possibly move it a week later to the 23rd, if that would be feasible. I know it wouldn't be considered a regular meeting if we moved the date, but, and we don't have to, but I was just curious. I think the date was okay with Luke, but Lily, I didn't check with you.
I should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Is-
Christina, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'm totally good with the 23rd. I just want to remind, with a smaller commission, we definitely need a quorum. So if there are
Right.
any commissioners out of town, we need to take that into consideration.
And then also, you are going to be gone during our
June.
regular time in June, correct?
Yes.
So we might want to consider not having a June meeting, and just have our May meeting and then no meeting until July.
Well, why don't we make a motion for this one right now, and then,
Okay.
yeah, let's talk about the.
I will make a motion to have our OPOC meeting on May 23rd.
I second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Passes. And then, do we want to talk about June right now, or do you want to wait?
Well, we could wait too,
We could wait, okay.
whatever you would like to do.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have too many people say no to that one, so. But yeah, we'll wait till the,
Well, that would mean Mr. Logue and Ms. Louvier would have to get everything ready for the June meeting, which I know you guys would be excited about, so.
I'm here to serve.
You've done it before.
That is really all I have to say. And could we please have some warm weather? That's all I'm wishing right now.
seriously. All right, anything, Lily?
No.
Well, as always, it's a pleasure, and,
I do have one thing,
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I just wanted to remind people, we were invited to attend the Law Enforcement Officer Memorial. There's a candlelight ceremony on May 1st at 8 p.m. I believe Commissioner Rose
I will be
is
there.
willing to attend that one. And then there's the honor ceremony on May 2nd at 11:30 a.m. So if you are interested, I highly encourage it. It's a beautiful ceremony. So,
thanks, Christina.
yep, that's all I have.
All right, anything else from anybody else?
Just that there's refreshments after for
Nicholas?
goodbye to Nick and thanking him for his service to our office.
Nice.
Okay, great.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody in the packed crowd. Thank you for everyone up here. And then up in the booth, appreciate you. This meeting is now adjourned. And the next OPO meeting will be May 23rd, 2023.